All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video, a little Wednesday recap of everything that went on down in Santa Clara. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue you're ever going to find in the Bay Area. And of course, it's all great, but get the brisket chili, get the potato chips cooked in beef fat. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. All right, I was down in Santa Clara today. Hot day down in Santa Clara. It was almost like training camp all over again. And the 49ers practiced today in that heat, getting ready for Sunday night's national TV tilt with the Dallas Cowboys. And the Niners are undefeated at 4-0. Dallas comes in. It's one of the toughest games on their schedule. Cowboys are a really, really good defense. They can put a ton of pressure on you. Micah Parsons off the edge is absolutely a force, and he's not alone. Osa Odigizua from UCLA, the interior rusher, very, very fast, number 97. DeMarcus Lawrence, Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams. They got a lot of guys off the edge. And the key is going to be stay ahead of the chains. And if you can, don't fall behind on the chains. Don't fall behind on the scoreboard. You fall behind on the chains, you fall behind on the scoreboard, you're going to have to deal with the wrath of the Cowboys' speed and pass rush. And that's what happens when they get a lead. They're a bully team that will pile up big points on you. So it's going to be huge, a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy. The Niners should be able to run the ball on Dallas, and it's going to be – I'm eager to see how Brock does on third downs. Injury-wise, Tyron Smith, the left tackle, may or may not go. He's listed as injured for this game. Rico Dowdell is also the running back is banged up. So Dallas, of course, Trayvon Diggs is already done for the year. So Dallas does not roll in 100%. Now, as far as the 49ers today, injury-wise, guys who were limited in practice today included Juwan Jennings, who's still battling that shin injury. Deebo Samuel's got 2 injuries that he's battling. He's got a bruised knee, and he's also got a rib injury. He was limited in practice today as well. Now, the guys who did not practice, Mooney Ward, the Niners' number 1 corner, has had a heel injury for about a month, and he didn't practice today. And I don't know about his status for Sunday. I think he's going to go, but he's been battling this injury for a number of weeks now. Elijah Mitchell sat out the practice with a knee injury. Dre Greenlaw's got an ankle injury, and John Feliciano is still in the concussion protocol. So no Feliciano, no Greenlaw, no Elijah Mitchell, no Mooney Ward. Jennings and Deebo were out there in a limited capacity. There are also a couple veteran rest days. CMC, who was, by the way, named the NFC's Offensive Player of the Week, and Trent Williams both got veteran rest days. So neither of those guys practiced. Now, there was a couple transactions today, and they were kind of interesting. The 49ers have re-signed offensive lineman Il Manning, and they have re-signed running back Jeremy McNichols, and they've added both of those guys to the practice squad. And to create room on the practice squad for them, they released fullback Jack Coletto, and they also released defensive lineman Marlon Davidson. It'll be interesting to see if Coletto winds up going to a different team or if he re-signs with the 49ers, because I think he's a long-term play. I think they would love to have Coletto next summer, competing for a spot at fullback. But there's also a number of teams that really liked him in the draft, and the Niners won a bidding process after the draft to land Coletto, and he's a very smart guy, mechanical engineering major from Oregon State, 6'3", 235. He was taken this year to kind of get his body a little bit bigger, a little stronger, a little bit more pro-ready. But I thought he was going to be a long-term play that they had a lot of interest in down the road, and I'm sure they still do. It's just a matter of bodies and making it all work, and will he go somewhere else? Or will he hang out for a week and maybe re-sign in a week? We'll find out. Marlon Davidson is another interesting guy in that played at Auburn, 6'3", 300-pound defensive tackle who has some defensive end pass rush ability. And they're just very loaded at defensive tackle right now. T.Y. McGill, Javon Kinlaw, Kalia Davis. They just have a lot of guys. Kevin Givens, not to mention Hargrave and Armstead. So they're loaded at defensive tackle, and Coletto and Davidson were both originally signed to the team's practice squad on August 30th, and today they were both cut free. Now, McNichols has been a Niner before. He's a 5'9", 205-pound running back who was drafted by the Buccaneers in the 5th round in the 2017 draft, and has had a 5-year NFL career with Tampa, the Niners. He was with the 49ers in 2017. He was with the Colts in 2018. He was with the Jaguars in 2019. He was with the Titans in 2020 and 2021. He's appeared in 34 NFL games. He's had 90 carries, 4.0 average per carry, and 1 touchdown on the ground. He also can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's got 40 receptions for 295 yards and a touchdown through the air. McNichols spent all of last season on the Steelers practice squad and then signed a 1-year deal with the Niners in early August and then was released in late August. He also spent time with the Broncos, the Bears, and the 49ers on the practice squad. He's 27. He's a Long Beach guy, went to Boise State. He's a decent NFL backup running back and a good depth piece. And with the injury to Elijah Mitchell, they just want to be more fortified at running back. The other one that really is probably the most interesting is the Niners have re-signed Ilm Manning. Now, I thought Manning was fantastic in training camp. He played at the University of Hawaii. He's 24. He attended University of Hawaii, where he appeared in 62 games, 60 starts, finished his career as a first-team All-Mountain West selection, and played almost entirely at left tackle. And the thing that's really intriguing about Manning is he's got guard size. He's really more of a guard or center body type. He's 6'2", 295. The Niners signed him as an undrafted free agent last May after the draft, and then they waived him at the cutdown on August 29th, and the Cardinals claimed him the next day. The Niners wanted to put him on the practice squad, but the Cardinals said, no, we'll take him. And then he was inactive in the Cardinals' first 4 games, and then he got waived by Arizona on October 2nd. So the Niners scoop him back up. I think this is a phenomenal pickup. Ilm's got experience at left tackle. He's got 32-inch arms, so he's not really a tackle in the NFL. So he played some tackle in the preseason and this summer in camp, but they're going to try him out at guard. And I think this is a guy that could be a future starter. I mean, I really like Ilm Manning. He plays the game on his feet. He's powerful. He's a good guy. He's aggressive. And, if you're looking, the hardest spot to fill on any offensive line is the left tackle spot. Well, the Niners have the best in the game, right? And Trent Williams. But it's always nice if you're going to have a backup offensive lineman, especially an interior offensive lineman, if that guy can play multiple spots. And I think that's what I see for Ilm Manning in the future. I think he's a guy that eventually might be a guy that plays center, guard, and can play left tackle in a pinch. He told me today in the locker room that he feels more comfortable at left tackle. I said, what was it like in Arizona for a month? And he said it was hot. He was like, oh, man, it's hot there. And he also mentioned how, their linemen don't move as well. They're bigger-bodied guys, but they don't move quite as well. I said, did the guys give you any jokes about you coming back? He's like, oh, yeah. So, but the Niners, I was talking to Spencer Burford, and he's like, yeah, we're glad to have him back. I think Ilm Manning won a lot of respect this summer among the Niner offensive linemen and defensive linemen for the way he played in camp. This guy will fight you. He's a battler. He's probably more of a guard or a center down the road, but he can fill in at left tackle, and he's a good player. I know Chris Forster really liked him. The Niners were really hoping that nobody would claim him. Instead, the Cardinals claimed him. So he spends a month in Arizona, and now he's back. And he'll be on the Niner practice squad, and I'm sure they would love to develop him as a future starter and a guy who can compete for a spot next summer in Santa Clara. So Ilm Manning is back. So that's good to see because Ilm is a good player. He's a good dude, but he's a really good player. And I like the idea of a interior player that also has experience at left tackle because that means that in a pinch, if you lose the most important guy, the most important critical spot on your offensive line, at least you got a guy you could throw out there who's got experience playing left tackle. So I thought that was really good that they picked up Ilm Manning and re-signed him. I also had a chance today to talk to Ilm. I had a chance to talk to Tabor Pepper, who's fired up for this game against the Cowboys on Sunday night. He says it's always nice when you're playing on national TV and everybody can watch you. He says you get up a little bit more for those games, those national TV games. And he's eager to see the 49ers get to 5-0. I also had a chance to talk to Javon Kinlaw, and I was asking Kinlaw. He had the headphones on. I said, "What do you listen to? What do you listen to in the pregame? Before the game. What's on your what do you want to listen to? What gets you fired up?" And he said, "Young Boy and Kodak Black." He said Kodak Black, and so I joked with him. I said, "Hey man, I got Transportin' in my my Apple Music," and so he dapped me up that I had Transportin' in there. But yeah, Kodak Black and Young Boy, according to Kinlaw, those are the two artists that he gets fired up, to play listening to those guys in the pregame. So it's good to talk to Javon today. He's really. He loves the way the Niner D-line's playing. And I talked to him about Eric Armstead because the film on the Arizona game of Armstead was just awesome. I mean, Armstead, for a guy who didn't fill up the stats, and I mentioned to Javon, I said, hey, you're playing a position where you may not have any tackles, but it doesn't mean you didn't make an impact in the game. And he's like, you're right. It's like, defensive tackle is that one spot where you got to watch the film. So don't listen to these people that just look at box scores and say, oh, this guy can't play or that guy can't play. You got to watch the film. You really have to watch the film to get an idea if a defensive tackle is effective or not. And Javon's in a great spot mentally. Loving working with Hargrave and Kinlaw. Loves the group. Loves the fact that his knee is healthy. He's playing with leverage. He's playing hard. And he's having fun. So it was good to talk to Javon today. I also got a chance to go ask Kyle Shanahan a question that I wanted to ask him. And I'm getting a lot of people who are saying, that are hesitant to support Brock Purdy because he was Mr. Irrelevant and they just don't believe in Brock Purdy and they think that he's going to come crashing back to earth. And a lot of the people who don't believe in Brock Purdy are still kind of touting that Purdy is largely a product of Kyle Shanahan's offensive system and that he only looks good because he's surrounded by Kyle and McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, and that he's a product of the system and the talent around him. And I asked Kyle that question today. I said, Kyle, what would you say to the person that still believes that Brock Purdy is largely a product of your system? I said, your system works. You've won with a lot of different quarterbacks, but what would you say to the people who say that Brock is just a product of your system? And here's his exact quote. He said, that's pretty ridiculous. He said, you just got to watch the tape. He plays at a high level every time he's been out there. And he's done it in a lot of different situations versus a lot of different defenses, on the road, at home, playoff games, when injured. You can't do all that stuff. He's been out there too long. It's on tape. So he just basically said, hey, you know what? The notion that Brock is a product of Kyle's system or is a product of his surroundings, and the people that want to kind of say, you know what? He's not that legitimate. He's going to come crashing back to earth. Once again, Kyle Shanahan, what do you think? And he said, that's pretty ridiculous. So there you go. And I was glad to ask that question, and I was eager to hear what he was going to say, and I wasn't exactly sure what he would say. But, once again, backing up his quarterback right there, Kyle Shanahan. All right, that does it. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show, and thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.